5 words that changed 3 lives forever. A one-legged girl walks into a crowded cafe, desperate to feel close to the family she lost in a tragedy that took everything. A single father and his 6-year-old daughter sit at a corner table, unaware they're about to meet someone who will shatter and rebuild their world. The steeping room was packed that Saturday morning in late March. Portland's first real sunshine after months of gray winter had drawn everyone out. Every table was full, every seat taken. Rowan Hale glanced up from his black coffee and caught sight of her. A young black woman on crutches was navigating through the crowded cafe. Her blonde highlighted locks were pulled into a loose ponytail, deep brown eyes scanning desperately for an empty seat. She moved with practiced efficiency despite the crutches, her dark skin glowing under the cafe's warm lighting. But what struck Rowan most was the expression on her face. Determination mixed with barely contained desperation. And then John's hamster escaped during show and tell and ran under Mrs. Kellen's desk. 6-year-old Lonnie was in the middle of an animated story, her hands gesturing wildly. Her dark brown skin was identical to Rowan's, her thick curls pulled back with colorful barrettes. Rowan smiled at his daughter, but kept watching the woman. She approached a table near the door where a couple sat close together. He saw her speak to them, saw the woman shake her head firmly. The young woman on crutches nodded, apologized, and moved to another table. Again, she was refused. Rowan watched her shoulders slump, watched the way she bit her lip as if fighting back tears. "Daddy, are you even listening?" Lonnie's voice pulled him back. "Of course, sweetie, the hamster escaped." But Rowan's attention had drifted again. The woman on crutches was standing in the middle of the cafe now, looking around with an expression that broke his heart. Lost. Alone. For a brief moment, their gazes met across the crowded cafe. Rowan saw vulnerability there, hope, and a deep sadness that seemed to radiate from her very core. She took a breath, adjusted her crutches, and started walking toward them. "Excuse me," she said softly when she reached their corner table. Her voice was steady, but Rowan could hear emotion trembling underneath. "I'm so sorry to bother you. I know this is probably strange, but would you mind if I shared this table with you? The cafe is completely full and I—" She paused, her eyes glistening. "I really need to be here today. It's very important to me." Rowan stood immediately, pulling out the empty chair. "Of course, please sit. I'm Rowan, and this is my daughter Lonnie." Relief washed over the young woman's face like sunrise breaking through storm clouds. She carefully settled into the chair, propping her crutches against the wall. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Ilara." She looked at them both, her eyes wet with unshed tears. "I asked those other tables first, but they said they needed privacy. I was starting to think I'd have to leave and Her voice caught. "I really couldn't bear to leave." "We're happy to share our table," Rowan said warmly. Lonnie, never one to be shy, leaned forward. "We come here every single Saturday. It's our special tradition. I always get hot chocolate with extra whipped cream, and Daddy gets boring black coffee." She wrinkled her nose at Rowan's mug. "Do you like hot chocolate?" Ilara smiled, and despite the sadness that clung to her, the smile reached her eyes. "I love hot chocolate." A server appeared and Ilara ordered. As the server left, Lonnie launched into conversation with the enthusiasm only a 6-year-old could muster, talking about school, about Mango the class hamster, about everything. Ilara listened with genuine interest, asking follow-up questions, laughing at the funny parts. They'd been sitting together for about 15 minutes when Ilara carefully set down her coffee cup. She looked at both of them with gratitude, mixed with something deeper, more painful. "I want to tell you both something. The reason I needed to be here today specifically, it's because today is my birthday. I'm 23 today." Lonnie's eyes went wide with delight. "It's your birthday?" And without hesitation, Lonnie burst into song. "Happy birthday to you." Rowan immediately joined in, his deeper voice blending with his daughter's enthusiastic soprano. Several nearby patrons glanced over, smiled, and joined in. When the song ended, Ilara had tears streaming down her face, but she was smiling through them. She wiped at her eyes with trembling fingers. That was the most beautiful thing anyone's done for me in a very long time. Thank you. Everyone needs birthday songs, Lonnie declared with conviction. Daddy, we need to get her a birthday cake. Despite Ilara's protests, Rowan went to the counter and returned with a small chocolate cake with vanilla buttercream frosting and a single candle. When he lit the candle, several people at nearby tables noticed. Someone started singing again, and soon their entire corner of the cafe had joined in. Ilara closed her eyes, made a wish, and blew out the candle. A small ripple of applause spread through the space. As they shared the cake, something shifted. The sweetness of the moment, the unexpected kindness from strangers seemed to crack open something in Ilara that had been locked tight. This cafe, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. This was my family's place, our Saturday morning tradition, exactly like yours. Rowan felt his chest tighten. Laney stopped eating, sensing the weight of what was coming. Ilara looked up, meeting Rowan's eyes. Her dark skin was beautiful, even tear-stained, her features delicate but strong. Me, my little sister Suri, and our parents. My dad was a firefighter at Station 27, and my mom was a pediatric nurse at Cascade Children's Hospital. She paused, her hands beginning to tremble. We never had much money, but Saturday mornings here at the steeping room, these were the happiest times of my life. Suri would always order strawberry waffles. My dad made terrible jokes. My mom would steal bites of everyone's food. For those few hours, nothing else mattered. Rowan reached across the table instinctively, placing his hand gently over hers. What happened, Ilara? She closed her eyes, and a tear slipped down her cheek. 2 years ago, there was a gas leak in our apartment building. The landlord had been warned about the old pipes. He always said he'd get to it next month. Her voice broke. We were all asleep when it happened. The explosion. I woke up in the hospital 3 days later. The entire building had collapsed. I was trapped under concrete and steel beams for almost 6 hours. My left leg was completely crushed. They had to amputate. Lonnie's eyes were wide, shimmering with tears. Ilara's voice shattered completely. My parents and Suri, they didn't make it out. They died in the collapse. Suri was only 14. She wanted to be a veterinarian because she loved every animal she ever met. The tears were streaming down Ilara's face now. Rowan felt his own eyes burning. My parents spent their lives saving other people. My dad ran into burning buildings. My mom fought to save sick children, but they couldn't save themselves. They couldn't save Suri. Before Rowan could respond, Lonnie slipped silently out of her chair and walked around the table. Without saying a word, she wrapped her small arms around Ilara and hugged her tightly. I'm so sorry your family died, Lonnie said softly. That's the saddest thing I ever heard. But you're not alone right now. We're here with you. Ilara pulled Lonnie closer and sobbed into her hair. Rowan came around too, placing a comforting hand on Ilara's shoulder. They stayed like that for a long time. 3 people who'd been strangers less than an hour ago, now connected by unexpected kindness. When Ilara finally composed herself, she looked at them both with red-rimmed eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to fall apart. You don't need to apologize. Not for grief. Not ever, Rowan said firmly. Ilara wiped her face with a napkin. I live with my aunt now up in Vancouver, Washington. But it doesn't feel like home. Nothing feels like home anymore. She looked around the cafe. Today is my birthday, and all I wanted was to come back here, to feel close to them again. This was where we were happiest. But when I got here and saw how crowded it was, I almost left. She looked at Rowan, fresh tears welling. And then you said yes. You let me sit here. You sang to me. You made me feel like I mattered on a day when I felt completely alone. You do matter, Lonnie said with absolute certainty. And you're not alone. You have us now. Rowan smiled at his daughter's pure heart. She's right. You don't have to be alone today. We were planning to go to the park this afternoon. You're welcome to join us if you'd like. Ilara looked surprised. Are you sure? We'd like you to come. Really? Ilara hesitated only a moment before nodding. I would really love that. Thank you. They spent the rest of that afternoon at Maple Ridge Park. Lonnie played on the swings while Rowan and Ilara sat on a bench, talking in the way people do when they sense a connection that feels both surprising and inevitable. How long have you been doing the Saturday morning tradition? Ilara asked. 3 years now, Rowan said. Since my divorce was finalized. Lonnie was 3 when her mom and I split up. I'm sorry, Ilara said softly. Rowan nodded. It was hard, but it was necessary. Maren and I, that's Lonnie's mom, we married young, 22, right out of college. We thought we wanted the same things, but we didn't. She's an artist, a free spirit. She wanted spontaneity, adventure. I'm more of a homebody. I like routines, quiet mornings, stability. He paused, watching Lonnie jump off the swing. When Lonnie was born, we both tried so hard to make it work, but trying to be someone you're not, it's exhausting. We weren't angry at each other. We just fell out of love gradually. That sounds harder than anger, Ilara observed. It was, Rowan admitted. Where is she now? Seattle. She's a curator at a gallery. She visits twice a month and calls Lainey regularly. The divorce was amicable. I got primary custody because my teaching job is more stable. You're a teacher? Rowan smiled. Middle school art. It's chaos and creativity all mixed together, but I love it. Art teacher, Ilara said, something lighting up in her eyes. That's perfect. You have that energy. And what about you? Rowan asked. Freelance graphic design. I work from home, which has been good since the amputation. I had to completely relearn my workflow. It took months to adapt, but I got there. That's incredibly resilient. I didn't have much choice, Ilara said quietly. It was adapt or give up, and I had already lost everything else. They discovered more shared interests as the afternoon wore on. They both loved hiking. They both preferred indie films to blockbusters. They both thought Portland after rain smelled like the best thing in the world. When evening came and they finally parted ways, they exchanged phone numbers. Thank you for today, Ilara said, her eyes genuinely happy for the first time. You and Lonnie turned what I thought would be the loneliest birthday of my life into something beautiful. Same place next Saturday? Rowan asked, surprising himself. Ilara's face lit up. I would absolutely love that. The texts started that night. Over the following weeks, Ilara became part of their Saturday tradition. The weeks turned into months. She started joining them for other things too. Trips to Harbor Lane Books, movie nights at Rowan's apartment, Lonnie's school art show. Ilara taught Lonnie how to draw cartoon characters at Rowan's kitchen table. Rowan and Ilara would text late into the night about everything and nothing. 2 months after they met, Ilara made a decision. I'm moving to Portland, she told Rowan one evening. Rowan's heart did a little flip. Really? My aunt is supportive. She knows I need to rebuild my life. I've been looking at apartments in the neighborhood. There's a studio available 3 blocks from here. That's amazing. I can help you move. When moving day came, Rowan recruited teacher friends. They carried boxes, assembled furniture, hung pictures. By the end of the day, Ilara's studio apartment felt like home. 3 months into their friendship, Ilara was fully integrated into their lives. She knew Lonnie hated broccoli, but loved Brussels sprouts. She knew Rowan graded papers better with instrumental jazz playing. She knew their coffee orders by heart. And one afternoon in June, sitting in a different coffee shop, Rowan realized his feelings had shifted from platonic to something deeper. Ilara was laughing, her head thrown back, the afternoon light catching her blonde highlighted locks just right, and Rowan's heart did a little flip. He was falling in love with her. But he didn't say anything. Ilara had been through so much trauma. She was 9 years younger. He had a daughter to think about. So he kept quiet, treasuring what they had while silently wishing for more. 4 months into their friendship, everything changed. It was a Tuesday evening in early August. Rowan was grading student artwork while Lonnie colored nearby. His phone rang. Marin's name on the screen. "Hey, Marin. Is everything okay?" "Yes, actually. I'm calling with good news." She sounded excited. "I got a job offer at the Portland Art Museum. It's exactly what I've been working toward. And it means I'd be moving back to Portland." Rowan's hand tightened on the phone. "You're moving back here?" "I'm planning to, yes. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've regretted not being more present in Lonnie's life. Seeing her twice a month isn't enough. I want to be a real mom to her." "That's great, Marin. Lonnie would love to see you more often. There's something else." Marin's voice softened. "I've been doing a lot of therapy, self-reflection. I've been thinking about us, about our marriage." Rowan's stomach dropped. "Marin, hear me out. We were so young when we got married. We let stress and our differences pull us apart. But maybe we gave up too quickly. Maybe with some time and growth, we could try again. Think about it, Rowan. A real family for Lonnie." After they hung up, Rowan sat frozen, his mind spinning. Lonnie looked up from her coloring. "Was that Mommy?" "Yes, sweetheart." "Is she coming to visit soon?" Rowan took a breath. "Actually, Mommy might be moving back to Portland for a new job." Lonnie's face exploded with joy. "Really? Mommy's coming back here? That's the best news ever." She bounced in her seat. "Oh, Daddy, this is so great. Maybe if she's here, you and Mommy could be together again like a real family. We could all live together." Rowan's heart sank. "Sweetie, it's not that simple." "But it could be," Lonnie insisted. "If Mommy's here and you're here, you could fall back in love. Then we'd be a real family." That Saturday at the steeping room, Ilara immediately sensed something was off. Rowan was distracted, quieter than usual. "Hey," she said gently, after Lonnie skipped off to look at the pastry display. "What's going on?" Rowan sighed. "Marin called. She got a job offer in Portland. She's moving back." "Oh." Ilara's expression shifted subtly. "That's good though, right? Lonnie will get to see her more." "Yeah, it'll be good for Lonnie." "Is there something else?" Ilara asked carefully. Rowan hesitated. "Just a lot of changes coming, a lot to figure out." What Rowan didn't know was that later that afternoon, when he'd stepped away to take a call from his sister Jessa, Lonnie had told Ilara everything. "Guess what, Miss Ilara? My mommy is moving back to Portland, and I told Daddy that maybe they could fall back in love, and we could all be a family together. Isn't that the best idea ever?" Ilara had felt something crack inside her chest. "That would be really wonderful for you, Lonnie." "I really hope it happens," Lonnie had continued. "I pray about it every night. I want my mommy and daddy together again." That night, Ilara lay awake in her studio apartment, staring at the ceiling as Portland rain drummed against her window. Of course Rowan would want his family back together. Of course he'd choose to give Lonnie what she so desperately wanted. What could Ilara possibly offer that would compare? She was just some broken girl who'd stumbled into their lives. She had no right to stand in the way of Lonnie getting her intact family. Over the next 2 weeks, Ilara slowly began pulling away. "Want to come over for movie night Friday?" "I can't. Sorry. Swamped with a big freelance deadline." "Saturday coffee?" "Not feeling great. Rain check." Rowan was confused and hurt. Had he done something wrong? The shift had happened right after he'd mentioned Maren moving back. He tried calling, but Alara let it go to voicemail. "Did I do something? Please talk to me. I miss you." Alara's response came hours later. "I just think I've been imposing too much on your time with Lonnie. You two need your space, especially with everything changing." Rowan stared at the message, completely baffled. On their third Saturday without Alara, Lonnie looked around the steeping room with confused, sad eyes. "Where's Miss Alara? Why doesn't she come anymore?" "She's just busy, sweetie." "But she was never too busy before," Lonnie said, her voice small. "I miss her, Daddy." "I miss her too," Rowan admitted. That evening, after putting Lonnie to bed, Rowan sat on his couch trying to make sense of everything. Alara's withdrawal had started right after he'd mentioned Maren, and Lonnie had been so excited about her parents, potentially getting back together. Unless, the realization hit him like a freight train. Lonnie must have told Alara about wanting her parents back together, and Alara, sweet Alara who'd lost her entire family, probably thought she was standing in the way of Lainey getting hers back. She was sacrificing her own happiness because she thought it was the right thing to do for Lainey. Rowan grabbed his keys. 20 minutes later, he was knocking on Alara's apartment door. When she opened it, surprise and something like panic flashed across her face. "Rowan, what are you doing here? Is Lonnie okay?" "Lonnie's fine. She's with my neighbor. We need to talk. Please." Alara hesitated, then stepped aside to let him in. They sat on her second-hand couch, and Rowan turned to face her directly. "You're pulling away because of Maren, aren't you?" Alara's eyes immediately filled with tears. "Rowan, Lonnie told you, didn't she, about wanting Maren and me to get back together?" Alara looked down at her hands. "She's excited about having both her parents in the same city, and she should be excited. She deserves to have a complete family, Rowan." "Alara, look at me, please." She met his eyes, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I need you to understand something," Rowan said firmly, reaching for her hands. "Maren and I are not getting back together. We're not in love. We haven't been for years. But she wants to try again." "She mentioned it as a possibility," Rowan corrected, "and I haven't seriously considered it for even a second. Maren and I don't belong together. We never really did. That hasn't changed." "But Lonnie wants—" "Lonnie is 6 years old," Rowan said gently but firmly. "She has fantasies about fairy tale endings, but that's not reality, and that's not what's best for her. Maren and I can both be excellent parents without being married to each other." "Rowan, I'm not finished," he said, his heart pounding. "I need to tell you something, and I need you to really hear me. These past 4 months have been some of the happiest months of my life since my divorce. Not because of convenience or circumstance, but because of you." Alara's breath caught. "Because you make me laugh in ways I forgot I could. Because you see the world through this lens that fascinates me. Because you're kind and resilient and real and beautiful. Because when I'm with you, everything feels right in a way it never felt with Maren." Tears were streaming down Alara's face now. "You're not standing in the way of anything, Alara. You're not an obstacle to my family. You are my family. You have been since that day you asked to share our table. Lonnie loves you. He took a shaky breath. "I love you. I'm in love with you. I have been for weeks, maybe months. And I hope, you might feel the same way." Alara stared at him, tears streaming, breath coming in shaky gasps. "I do. I've been falling in love with you since you sang Happy Birthday to a stranger. But I couldn't. I thought I was being selfish." Rowan pulled her into his arms, and she sobbed against his chest, months of suppressed feelings pouring out. He held her tightly, one hand cradling the back of her head. "You're allowed to hope," he murmured into her hair. "You're allowed to want things. You're allowed to be loved, Alara. You're allowed to be happy." "I love you," Alara said, pulling back to look at him through her tears. I love you so much. And I love Lonnie, but I'm so scared. Of what? Of messing this up. Of you realizing I'm not enough. Of Lonnie resenting me. Rowan kissed her. It was soft and gentle and full of months of unspoken longing. When they pulled apart, he rested his forehead against hers. You are enough, he said firmly, his hands cupping her face. You are more than enough. And we'll figure everything out together. Maren moving back, the new co-parenting arrangement, all of it. But please don't pull away from us. Don't leave us. We need you. I won't leave, Alara promised, her hands clutching his shirt. I'm sorry I tried to. I'm so sorry. You don't have to apologize, Rowan said, kissing her forehead. You being in our lives is what's right. They held each other for a long time, the Portland rain continuing its steady rhythm against the window. The next morning, Rowan sat Lainey down for an important conversation. Sweetie, I need to talk to you about Mommy moving back to Portland. Lonnie looked up at him with hopeful eyes. Mommy and Daddy both love you more than anything, and Mommy wants to move here so she can see you much more often, which is wonderful. But, he took a breath. Mommy and Daddy are not getting back together. Lonnie's face fell. But why? Because sometimes people who care about each other realize they're better as friends than as married people. Mommy and I tried really hard, but we just weren't happy together the way married people should be. But I want us all to be together, Lonnie said, tears welling. I know, sweetheart, and I understand. But we are together, just in a different way. You have Mommy who loves you, and you have Daddy who loves you. That's what matters. Lonnie was quiet, processing. Is it because of Miss Alara? No, Rowan said firmly. Mommy and I made our choice long before I ever met Miss Alara. But I do need to tell you something about Miss Alara. He paused. I love her, Lonnie, not just as a friend, but the way grown-ups love each other when they want to be together. To his surprise, Lonnie's expression softened. Like boyfriend and girlfriend? Yes, exactly like that. Lonnie was quiet for another moment. I like Miss Alara. She's really nice, and you smile a lot when she's around. Rowan felt tears prick his eyes. I do smile more when she's around. Can she still come to Saturday coffee with us? Always, sweetheart. Always. Lonnie nodded slowly, then climbed into Rowan's lap and hugged him. I still wish you and Mommy could be together, she said honestly. But I guess if you're happy with Miss Alara, that's okay too. Thank you for understanding, baby girl. When Maren moved back to Portland 6 weeks later, she and Rowan worked out a new custody arrangement. Lonnie would stay with Maren every other weekend and one weeknight for dinner. The first time Maren came to pick up Lonnie from Rowan's apartment, she met Alara. After Lonnie ran to pack her bag, the two women stood somewhat awkwardly in the doorway. Maren was exactly as Alara had pictured, tall, artistic, with her hair in sister locks and expressive dark eyes, her deep brown skin glowing. So, you're Alara, Maren said. I am, Alara said quietly, her heart racing. I want you to know, I'm not trying to replace you. You're Lonnie's mother. I would never… I know, Maren interrupted. And to Alara's surprise, she smiled genuinely. Lonnie talks about you constantly. Miss Alara taught me this. Miss Alara said that. I can tell she loves you, and I can see that you make Rowan happy in ways I never could. She paused. I thought I wanted to try again with him. But the truth is, I was lonely, and I confused wanting to be a better mom with wanting to be his wife again. Those are two different things. She looked back at Alara. I'm actually glad he found you. Take care of them. Alara felt tears spring to her eyes. Thank you. That means more than you know. Take good care of my girl, Maren said softly. Not just Rowan, Lonnie too. I will. I absolutely will. Over time, Maren and Alara developed a respectful co-parenting relationship built on their shared love for Lani. 8 months after that first meeting at the steeping room, on a Saturday morning at their usual table, Rowan got down on one knee. Lani stood beside him, wearing her best dress and holding a small velvet box, practically vibrating with excitement. The cafe had quieted, other patrons noticing what was happening. "Ilara Wynn," Rowan said, taking her hand while she stared at him in shock. "That day you asked to share our table, you changed our lives completely. You brought light and love and laughter back into our world. You showed me what real partnership looks like. You've been patient with Lani's adjustment. You've been gracious with Maren. You've been everything I didn't know I needed." His voice wavered. "Will you marry us? Will you officially become part of our family?" Alara was crying and laughing at the same time. "Yes, yes, absolutely yes." Lani opened the box to reveal a beautiful ring, simple, elegant, with a small diamond that caught the morning light. The whole cafe erupted in applause. The same patrons who'd sung Happy Birthday 8 months ago now celebrated this new beginning. Rowan slipped the ring on Alara's finger and kissed her. Lani threw her arms around both of them. The owner of the steeping room brought out champagne for Rowan and Alara and hot chocolate for Lani. "To the family that started at table 7, someone shouted, and everyone raised their cups. 6 months later, they married on a warm Saturday morning in September. The ceremony took place at the steeping room, at the corner table where it had all begun. The cafe owner had closed the space for the morning, transforming it with simple white flowers and strings of lights. Lani was the flower girl, wearing the dress she'd picked out herself. Maren came and took photos, genuinely happy for them. She'd brought her new girlfriend, an art restorer she'd met at the museum, and they sat together in the front row. When it was time for vows, Rowan spoke first. "Alara, when you asked if you could share our table, you gave me more than company for coffee. You gave me hope. You taught me that families aren't just born. They're built, one kind moment at a time. You showed Lani what resilience looks like. You showed me what love should feel like. I promise to always make room at our table for you." Ilara's hands trembled as she held his. "Rowan, I came to this cafe on the worst birthday of my life looking for ghosts. Instead, I found a future. You and Lani didn't just let me share your table. You made room in your hearts. You taught me that grief and joy can exist together. That broken doesn't mean worthless, and that family is what you make it. I promise to love you both with everything I have, to honor the family you've welcomed me into, and to never forget that the best things in life start with a simple question: can I share this table?" When they kissed, the small gathering erupted in cheers. Lani jumped up and down, and somewhere in the crowd, someone started singing, "Happy Wedding Day to You," which made everyone laugh through their tears. They cut a small chocolate cake with vanilla buttercream frosting, exactly like the one from that first birthday. Alara closed her eyes and made a wish. Gratitude. As they danced their first dance in the narrow space between tables, Alara rested her head on Rowan's shoulder and whispered, "Thank you for saying yes." "Thank you for asking," Rowan whispered back. And Lani, watching her dad and her new stepmom dance, leaned against Maren and said, "Mommy, did you know that sometimes fairy tales are real? They just don't look like the ones in books." Maren kissed the top of her daughter's head. "You're absolutely right, sweetie. Sometimes they look like this." Their story had started with a birthday song and a slice of cake, with a young woman brave enough to ask for what she needed, and a single father kind enough to say yes, with one simple truth that changed 3 lives forever. Sometimes, all it takes is making room at your table for someone who needs a place to belong.